I'm Bree Connett, Executive Director of Northland Early Education Center, and I want to thank you for joining us for this virtual launch of our Lead the Way campaign. Thank you for taking the time to support inclusive classrooms and therapy services for the children in the Kansas City area. This event is dedicated to helping secure long-term supporters who are passionate about helping every child in our community achieve their full potential. Some of those supporters include Ken and Rosvitha Schaefer, J.E. Dunn Construction, and Capital Federal Foundation, all of whom have already made generous contributions to this event. That is a cause I've dedicated my life towards. I joined Northland Early Education 20 years ago as a teacher. 10 years later, I took over as program director, and 2 years ago, I took over as executive director. I have spent nearly my entire adult life at this school, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I've been able to see so many young lives transformed by the services provided by Northland Early Education Center, and that's one of the main reasons I've never wanted to leave. I am truly honored that I've been put in charge of such a great organization. I've put together this video to give you a better idea of exactly what goes on at Northland Early Education Center. Enjoy.
My son started here at NEEC when he was 2 back in 2013, and the impact that this school has had on his growth and development since has been phenomenal. It has just been night and day. Everybody here is like family, including the families and children that I serve personally on a daily basis.
So our unique way of early education here is what I love the most about NEEC, our inclusive classrooms, our therapy department that works so closely with our teachers. The children that attend on a daily basis are why we do what we do.
The things that I love most about working for Northland Early Education Center is getting to see children meet milestones that their families and that they have been told that they would never meet, and watching our teachers and our therapists interact and help those children meet those milestones.
I remember when I first started here in 2008, there was a little boy in my classroom who was unable to walk, and I remember his mom was telling me that the doctors told him he would never walk. After a year of him being in my classroom, he was walking.
I love what we do. Our mission to serve all children, regardless of their abilities and their demographics. We serve everybody, and we meet their challenges head on.
When I was in school, I remember seeing the special needs kids had their own classroom and they were never really intertwined with us. And I think now, the kids being all together, they don't really see a difference in somebody. They see these as their friend Joe or their friend Bob. They don't see it as someone that has a need that's always separate from them.
It's going to be nice to see that the community is going to look at us more as a resource for therapy services to help their children reach their full potential, and not just a place for them to drop off their children so they can go to work. We reach goals. We help them reach their milestones of walking when doctors said that they couldn't. We are support for the community.
I love seeing the kids really grasp a concept that we've been working on and seeing them meet milestones. We serve a big inclusive role in the community. We are unlike any other school in the area for fully inclusive classrooms, as well as just fully accepting. There was a child in my classroom that was told they would not walk or would maybe not get out of the wheelchair that they were in, and now they are up and moving.
As a parent, when you see your own child take their first step or their first crawl movement, it's very important, and it's a big milestone, and it's very exciting. And that excitement, I've seen that over and over with different students over the years. And it's especially exciting when you see a child that has struggled through those milestones to achieve those milestones. And once you see a child with special needs gain that milestone and take that first step, it is the same excitement that you get when you see your first child take those same steps. And you never get tired of it.
A lot of you may not have recognized the Northland Early Education Center in that video. That's because we recently completed a $4 million expansion and renovation to our facility. That project provided much needed growth, allowing us to serve the growing number of children in our community who need our services. More than 7 million children across the country have a developmental delay. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, that means 1 in every 7 children will need a little extra help to beat the odds. In order to beat those odds, those children need to be enrolled in early intervention services as young as possible. The younger those children enroll, the greater impact those services will have on their long-term development. An important part of those services come from our therapists. Northland Early Education Center has 5 fantastic therapists on staff, including physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech and language pathology, special instructor, and a certified occupational therapy assistant. They are a talented group with decades of experience who are committed to helping children overcome their limitations.
Special instruction is helping children meet their developmental milestones.
If you think of like learning to sit and walk and run and jump, that all really happens before about 3 years old. You really need mobility to be able to explore your environment to learn. So without mobility, kids tend to get further and further behind in social skills and cognition just because they're not able to explore and learn from their environment.
It's very exciting to have a child come to our center that may be experiencing a lot of frustration because they don't have the words they need to communicate, and being able to help the family and the child along, teaching them how to use their words to get what they need and what they want.
We have so many resources available to us here in the building. We aren't able to only help our children who receive direct therapy services. We're also available to help the classrooms. Teachers can come and ask us questions, we can consult, we can go into the classroom and provide ideas for the teachers.
Our job is to go in and show the teachers, hey, have you thought about doing things this way? Or I think it would be great to work on this. And then the child gets so many more opportunities to practice that skill because they're immersed in it in their classroom as opposed to just the hour a week that we're able to spend with them.
It's great to get into the classrooms, seeing the kids in the classroom, seeing the areas that they may be struggling with or that our teachers might need a little bit of help with, and providing a few suggestions.
And I feel like no matter how cool and fun and awesome we try to be when we come to a home visit, there is just no match for learning from your peers. So a lot of times we will try to motivate kids and get them engaged as best we can, but then it's not really until they're in a classroom full of kids their age do they really get motivated and kind of take off learning from what they're seeing happen around them.
One of the first questions I ask parents is, what can we help you with? What is the big struggle for you? What's the hardest time of your day? And one mom said, I just want to go to the grocery store. I want to take my son to the grocery store and I want to be able to get through it without a meltdown. So we worked on that skill. Now they're able to do that, and it seems like such a little thing to so many parents, but to a parent of a child with special needs, it's huge.
Depending on a kid's diagnosis and kind of where they're at when we get to meet them, there are times when you just don't know, are they gonna walk? Are they gonna walk while I get to see them? And there have been several times where, you know, you show up to a home visit one week and mom's like, they're walking, or I'll get a video in the middle of the week of a kid's first steps, and it's amazing. So many times kids overcome kind of what doctors say they think they aren't gonna do, and you just never know. Kids are very resilient and determined, and a lot of times they really surprise us in a great way.
Any time that I've worked with a child and they've been able to call their mom mama or tell their parents I love you has got to be the absolute best part of my job, to be able to share in that excitement and that joy, and you know, it just makes me feel like I have one of the best jobs in the world.
Over the years, Northland Early Education Center has grown by leaps and bounds, allowing us to serve more and more children. Moving forward, we will be able to serve more than 300 children each and every year. But that doesn't mean the attention each child receives will lessen. We know and appreciate the importance of what we do for families. These families trust us with the most important thing in their lives, their children. A lot of the time, the children who come to us are vulnerable, suffering from trauma, or a developmental delay. Those parents and guardians come to us worried and confused, not knowing what to do or where to turn. Parents like Kelly and Jill, who trusted us with their child, Izzy.
Isabel was born on 1/20 of 17. She was premature, and we were in the hospital for 2 months. And it was really devastating for us. She was on oxygen for 6 months, and then she stayed home for the first year. And so when it was time to look for a daycare, there was a lot of trepidation.
We had a physical therapist who worked with us named Abby, who also happened to work here at NEEC, and her children went here. And she really encouraged us to think of a place where we could take her where she could continue to get physical therapy. She couldn't walk, she'd only been off oxygen a few months, she'd really been housed at home, really didn't have any interaction with any other kids. So this was a big change for her, and it was one of the biggest things we wanted is a place where it was more inclusive so that she wouldn't be the only kid in the room who couldn't walk, who couldn't do anything, and we were very nervous.
I remember the first day, we were overwhelmed, but there was just such a level of comfort meeting the teachers. It left us with a sense of trust.
It was really hard for us at first because we had kept her so sheltered at home because we were so worried if she got any colds that she would actually end up back on oxygen. And they were really great about telling us when someone was sick. They sent us a lot of pictures, and they worked with her because she was about 1.5 years before she started walking, and she really wasn't communicative very much either. Her speech therapist, Tina, had told us that she didn't know if Izzy could say any words, and one day when I was dropping Izzy off, she said, "Bye, Mommy," and she stopped and she said, "Oh, Izzy can talk." Them working with her and her spending time with all the other kids, we watched her flourish and really come into her own.
You know, to see her progress, the first time she stood up and walked, we got a video from the teacher, and it was just overwhelming, to see that. She acclimates herself well, and I give a lot of that credit to the teachers, taking the time. The first week when she was in the orange room, it was like, here, the teacher's like, hey, just come here and give me a hug. And she came up and she gave her a hug, and it calmed everybody.
When she first came into my classroom a year ago, she was just so tiny and so shy. Now she's talking, she's playing with others.
They're really methodical about the things they're teaching them, and they're also teaching them adaptive ways depending on where they are. So as Izzy was getting better at crawling, better at walking, things like that, they would add things like certain sounds, words, colors. I really feel like that's why she's been able to excel, and I feel really lucky because she continued to get speech therapy and physical therapy right here at school, and then they would communicate with us, and that saved us a lot of time with both parents working. And so at 3 years old, for her to have come that far in just those 2 years here, I feel like she's almost caught up. As a matter of fact, we've been really fortunate that, well, good and bad, we had first steps the whole way through, and she's graduated. She's only behind in 2 areas, and she is excelled in 1. So to be told your child's no longer considered disabled, it's a really, really exciting and touching thing.
Northland Early Education Center is a nonprofit and depend on support from our community so we can keep changing lives like we did for Izzy. Please give and lead the way to a better Northland.